Today, we're going to be talking about LEGO Batman 3 Beyond Gotham. This is the sequel to LEGO Batman 2, which we talked about a few weeks ago. I recently 100%ed this game. These games are pretty short, so you can go ahead and do this, knock this out in like a week or two, just playing at night for a couple hours. Now, if you are one of the younger types who just could play a game all day long, you probably beat this in 2 to 3 days, depending on how fast you play. I like to take my time with these games, so I would just take in the atmosphere, slow down, and just play at my own pace. And I found that this game was just as satisfying and enjoyable as this Batman 2, if not more enjoyable in many ways. Though there are some setbacks. There are many pros and there are a few cons comparing Batman 2 to Batman 3. Roster-wise, Batman 3 naturally has a massively, substantially larger roster, but at the same time, just like the first game, or rather the Batman 2, I'm just going to call it first game because it's the first one I played. Alright, just like the first one, Batman 2. There are some DLC that you have to purchase in order to complete your roster. There's the whole hero pack, and then there's a villain pack in Batman 2, making a total of 10 extra characters that you could play around as. I mentioned previously that most of those characters could have been included in the base game had you just gotten rid of all of the useless characters like the Goons, Commissioner Gordon, Bruce Wayne. If you got rid of all of those characters and just included the heroes and the villains packs, you would have a more solid roster. The roster of Batman 2 is weak with all of the Goons and crap. Now, while Batman 3 has a massive roster, it suffers from the DLC, but on a massive major scale. You would need a total of maybe $30 to go onto the PlayStation Store, or the Steam Store, or whatever. It's probably cheaper on Steam, but if you're playing this on PlayStation 3, you will need an extra $30 to go on there and buy all of the character packs and story packs and extra garbage that you can put into this game. Story modes and missions and all that stuff that probably by rights should have been in the base game. Could have been in the base game. Many characters that were in the previous game are now locked into DLC in some way, shape, or form in this game. Characters such as Ra's al Ghul and Two-Face are in the Nolanverse character pack. The Nolanverse Batman character pack comes with all of the Nolanverse characters, such as Fox, Batman, Selina Kyle, Bane from Batman Rises, Heath Ledger's Joker, the Two-Face from Batman Rises. There's Ra's al Ghul from the Batman Begins alongside Scarecrow. So Scarecrow, Two-Face, and Ra's al Ghul, which were in the base game, in the first game, are not in the base game of Batman 3. I believe their movesets are mostly the same, though Scarecrow, I think, has fear gas, like he probably should have had in the second game. And it's in here, too. So there's that. Oh, and Clayface, I don't remember seeing Clayface. In fact, I don't remember, since this roster's huge. There's over 200 characters if you count all the DLC, right? I don't remember seeing Clayface, not even in the DLC. He might be in the DLC, I just can't remember, but he's not in the base game. That's not really a hefty loss, though he was a major, massive disappointment in Batman 2. Two-Face was a disappointment in Batman 2, and he's probably this exact same character in Batman 3 in the DLC. Bane, I talked about how he was practically useless in Batman 2. He is more useful in this game, but he kind of feels overshadowed by a whole bunch of other characters that do the exact same thing. Bane in this game comes as a small figure, normal size figure, and then he can inject venom into his body to become a big fig. Big figs, there's plenty of them in this game. You get 2 of them from the story, 4 of them from the story. Lex Luthor has a giant mech that you can use. Grundy, he's a big fig. Killer Croc, he's playable as a big fig. And Cyborg, I believe he's somewhere. He's also in the main story. He's also a big fig. What they call big figs is just, what's the good example? Is there a picture in the back here somewhere? No, there isn't. 5 big figs, actually. Martian Manhunter couldn't transfer. Martian Manhunter was a MVP in this game, man. I remember talking about how useless and disappointing that character was in Batman 2. He could fly, sure, and he can use his heat vision, sure, but you can unlock Superman during the story. He can do all of that, and you get the awesome Superman theme when you're flying around, right? You have to basically complete 75 to 80% of the game to unlock Martian Manhunter in Batman 2, and he is so disappointing. Well, in Batman 3, he is a major part of the main story. He is playable in so many story missions, and he has a massively superior moveset. He's got heat vision, he's got flight, he's got super sense. I mean, if you tap the circle button, you can see invisible objects and things like that. He can turn into his true form, which is a big fig. He's a big figure, giant figure. As you can see, Grundy here, he's larger than these. That's basically what it is. It's a bigger figure that could punch things harder. But Martian Manhunter could transform into a big figure, and even in his big figure form, he can fly around. Not too many big figures can fly around, so that's pretty cool. I found that cool. Martian Manhunter is a massive improvement. Superman is the exact same character. He's fine. Wonder Woman is a pretty big improvement. I don't yes, she could fly in Batman 2, but she didn't have her own theme. Well, in Batman 3, they changed that. She has her own Wonder Woman theme when she flies. The classic, I believe it was in the 60s or the 70s, they had a Wonder Woman TV show where they had this classic theme playing. And let me just say, this entire game is a massive love letter to those classic TV shows. There's Batman 60s, the Adam West is in this substantially, the actual actor. Adam West is playable in this game. He's pretty disappointing compared to Stan Lee from the Marvel games. In the Marvel games, Stan Lee is a massive, superpowered, awesome character that you have to basically complete the game to unlock, but he has so many cool things that he could do. Adam West in this has a Batarang, and that's it. He has nothing else to his name. Adam West is very disappointing, but you have to pretty much almost complete the game to get him, but half the charm of the Adam West character is not so much as playing as him, so much as hearing all of his cool lines that he speaks throughout every single level. There, instead of a citizen in peril or whatever, that in the story missions that you could do, it's Adam West in peril. So anywhere in all the story missions, you will find Adam West in peril somewhere, having all sorts of cool lines that you could go save him, and he'll say whatever, he'll thank you, and then give you some rewards or whatever. And that was charming. There's a couple other celebrity cameos in here. Silent Bob, Kevin Smith, he's in here. He's not exactly useful as a playable character. There's way too many characters that could do what he does, but more. Kevin Smith comes equipped with a sonar gun or whatever, so he can break glass and stuff like that. The Batman's got a sonar gun as well, and so does Cyborg. And there's a couple other characters that you could play as throughout the game that also come equipped with the sonar. And probably the most useful of the sonar characters is Man-Bat, because he can fly. You could fly around using sonar, so that's really cool. What else? Conan O'Brien's in this game, surprisingly. He's not playable, but Conan O'Brien is like the navigator character. You can go through all the hubs. There's multiple hubs. A lot of good hubs. The Hall of Justice, the Batcave, and the Watchtower, which is somewhere in here. I don't know where. I think that's it, right here. the Watchtower from Justice League. You can explore all those places, which is really cool. I really like that. And Conan O'Brien is all throughout these hub worlds explaining what all the hub worlds are and giving you all sorts of cool lore. So that I found was really nice. That was really nice. Speaking of Adam West, though, there is a special bonus mission after you complete the 15 story missions. And they're pretty big story missions. So while there's less story missions in this game than in the previous games, like, I believe Lego Pirates had 20 missions, Lego Harry Potter 1 and 2 had 24 missions. So there's a lot of missions in those games, but they were smaller missions. Like, they were smaller levels, the hub worlds were smaller. In this, the hub world is massive. There's multiple hub worlds. You can explore the whole Batcave, you can explore the whole Watchtower, you can explore 6 Green Lantern worlds. 7, technically. 7 Green Lantern worlds. But 6 of them are kind of like minis, if you played the Ratchet and Clank A Crack in Time. If you remember in that game, there are a bunch of moons that you go on. They're tiny little levels compared to the massive planets that you could do a little obstacle course on. You could run around the moon. It's smaller. That's basically what 6 of the Green Lantern worlds are. But you can go to all 6 of those worlds, and there's a lot of stuff to do there. There's bonus missions. There's side missions. This game introduced side missions, something that I think the previous game, Batman 2, lacked. Batman 2 had a massive world that you could explore, but there were no actual characters that you could talk to or do a little small story mission with. Well, they changed that in Batman 3. There are a bunch of characters that you can unlock and a bunch of gold bricks that you can collect from these side missions. There's a bunch of side characters, and on the 6 Green Lantern moons, in particular, you can get a lot of missions from a character called the Green Lantern. The Green Lantern is basically Duck Dodgers from Looney Tunes. Warner Brothers owns DC, Warner Brothers owns Looney Tunes, so of course they could bring in Daffy Duck in his Green Lantern outfit, and that was awesome. They even brought back the voice actor from the Duck Dodgers TV series. He also voiced Daffy in, I believe, Space Jam, the first one, and I believe he voiced Daffy in Looney Tunes Back in Action. He voiced Daffy in a lot of stuff in the 90s and the 2000s. So he came back to voice the Green Lantern, aka Daffy Duck, in this game. There's a lot of lines from this guy. This guy has at least 20 minutes of lines, and he sounds just like he did in the TV show, the Duck Dodgers TV show. And that was a massive treat. That was a massive treat. I was so stoked to see him, man. Once you unlock him as a character, because you can play as the Green Lantern, he's not as exciting to use as a character so much as it was seeing him and doing all those story missions with him, side quest missions with him. Because the side quests were very fun. The Green Lantern is very fun to explore the Green Lantern worlds with. He has so many lines, and it's just a delight. Like Adam West, the charm isn't so much as unlocking them as a character as getting to see them and hearing all the lines they speak throughout their story missions and stuff like that. Speaking of Adam West, I know I'm all over the place here. There is a 16th bonus mission in Batman 3 once you complete the story. And the story is like a movie in and of itself. Batman 2 has a movie tie-in counterpart. All the cutscenes from Batman 2 is basically in the movie. Lego Batman 2, Super Batman, Superheroes, whatever. This one is technically your sequel to that movie. It's got roughly about an hour and 30 minutes of story content. And that is very delightful. During the story missions, when you're in story mode, not free play, but during story missions, during the story mode, all of the story characters banter to one another. And that I found was really cool. So that was really nice. But anyways, I'm trying to get back on track here. On the 16th mission, the bonus mission, after you complete the 15 main missions, there's a bonus mission that you can find in the Batcave, which is a 1960s set piece from the 1960s Batman show. And Adam West narrates an entire bonus mission set in the 1960s TV show. And you get to encounter Joker, Penguin, Catwoman, and a bunch of other characters from the 1960s counterparts. And Batgirl's in there, and Robin's in there. Batgirl's a massive disappointment in this game. She was a massive disappointment in Batman 2. She's a massive disappointment in Batman 3. I thought that they would have given Batgirl something to do, something unique. She does have a couple story side quests that you could talk to her and she'll give you some missions to do. But as a character, when you unlock her, she basically acts like Batman, the base Batman. Because Batman has his suits again. I'll talk about that in a minute. She's basically like Batman in his base form. She can throw batarangs and she can use the grapple. That's about it. She has nothing else. Nothing to do with character. You'd think that since she doesn't have the suits like Batman does, they would give her some bonus, some unique stuff, like maybe super sense, or some other thing that she could use in her base outfit. Or maybe give her some outfits. I don't know. But she was a disappointment, so whatever. But the whole mission is a 1960s Adam West narrated charm. It's a delight. If you're a fan of the 1960s TV show, this game will make you very, very happy to play it. The Adam West is all over. It's the Adam West 60s Batman story mission is delightful. You can even play as 1960s Batman and 1960s Robin, and when they punch people, when you're playing as the 60s versions of these characters, that you can unlock 60s Joker, 60s Penguin, and all that stuff. When you play as those characters and you punch any villain, any type of enemy in the game, you will get the text box of the POW, whatever. You get sound effects, the cool sound effects, and all that, the text boxes. So that's the text box sound effects and all that stuff. That was really nice. That was really nice to see. There's a really nice touch. Most of the characters, while their movesets are the same, their melee, their combos, and all this stuff, a lot of characters have unique combos, unique stances, unique running animations. It's all a delight to see. Some characters I wish had more to do, like for example Cheetah here. She can dig, and that's about all she can do. She's got nothing else. She's supposed to be a counterpart to Wonder Woman, but Wonder Woman has her tiara, boomerang, she's got her whip, she can fly, she's got her own character theme when she flies, she can use her braces to reflect the laser beams. There's a bunch of stuff that Wonder Woman can do in this game. Cheetah can do nothing. All she can do is dig. That's disappointing if you're a Cheetah fan. The Flash is pretty much the same, Robin's the same, Joker's the same in his base form. Joker's got an upgrade, so did Lex Luthor, since they're main characters in this game. The suits, let's talk about that next. I mentioned in Batman 3 that there are a bunch of little icons throughout the story levels and throughout the hub world where you could switch Batman and Robin's suits into various other things, like Robin's acrobatics suit or Batman's electric suit. All of those suits return in this game, well, most of them do. And they are used in my favorite way. It's essentially, if you remember what a weapon wheel is in a shooter game, you can hold down a button, you can bring up a little wheel for all your weapons and select them with the analog stick. That's basically what it is here. You hold down triangle, and you bring up the suit wheel that you can click for 4 characters. Batman, Robin, 5 actually. Batman, Robin, Cyborg, Lex Luthor, and Joker. Yeah. And each one has various levels of suits. Robin and the Joker have an illumination suit, which means they can like light up dark areas with their suit. Lex Luthor and Batman have a space suit, which allows them to fly and use laser beams. Lex Luthor and Robin have a hazard suit. If you remember Batman 2, you know what the hazard suit is. Lex Luthor and Cyborg have the giant suit, which means they can turn into a giant big figure and punch big objects and do all sorts of stuff like that. So these 5 characters are probably the most useful in the entire game, because across all of the suits that you can use in their little suit wheel by holding triangle, they pretty much cover almost every single unique ability in the game. There's only a few characters that have abilities that are so unique to that character that you have to use that character to go through an obstacle or whatever. And one of those characters is the Atom. the Atom can shrink himself down to a small size so that he can do various little puzzles and stuff. So that's one thing. And the other one is Brainiac. Brainiac returns in this game, but unlike in Batman 2 where he could fly, Brainiac in Batman 3 cannot fly. All Brainiac can do is use his shrink ray, so he's kind of a disappointment. He's kind of like Lex Luthor in this game. Lex Luthor in Batman 2 had his deconstructor or whatever, and that was the only purpose for that character, is to use the deconstructor to deconstruct objects. So with Brainiac, since he can't fly or use laser beams anymore, all he can do is use his shrink ray to shrink things, and do various story stuff with the shrink things to find mini kits and things like that, of that nature. Now we're going to talk about one of my biggest gripes. One of my absolute biggest gripes in this game with this game's roster is there's about 20 to 30 characters that are part of the Lantern Corps, and their moveset is exactly identical. There's 6 of the Lanterns outside of Green Lantern. There's John Stewart, there's the Green Lantern, and each one of the 6 Lantern worlds that you could visit, there's a Lantern Goon. So that Lantern Goon is playable. And then sometimes you have a second-in-command at the Lantern worlds, and that second-in-command is playable. And it's just a mess. There's so many Green Lantern characters that do the exact same thing. They can all fly, they can all fire a Green Lantern blast, and they can all use a Green Lantern beam. That's it! That's all you can do! Hal Jordan, at least. With Hal Jordan, he can create a Zorb ball. If you remember the acrobatic suit in Batman 2, Robin could use a little ball to do a little obstacle. Luckily, in this game, there's not too many of those. But Joker and the Green Lantern can both turn into a ball to operate those mechanics and all that stuff. The other Lanterns can form up a little barrier. They can't turn into a ball, but they can form a little barrier to do stuff. And they can all dig, too. That's pretty cool. They can all dig by using a little lantern construct. They can form like a little shovel or whatever to dig up items up. So that's pretty cool. For the most part, all the characters are pretty basic. Either you have a heat beam, a Green Lantern beam, a gunshot blast, or a Green Lantern blast, or a batarang. It's essentially one of those types of things. And you'll have characters with a variety of these abilities, from Super Sense to Freeze Rays. There's a lot of stuff. And there are a bunch of characters that are like the Green Lanterns. There's so many Green Lantern goons that I think that you could all combine all those goons into one icon instead of like 20 different icons. You can have one single icon with a shifting character for whatever. It's just, the roster feels huge, but you're overwhelmed by the sheer amount of copy-paste Green Lantern characters and goons. Then you could just take all of those out and take all of the unique characters that are from the DLC and put them in the main game. Bring Two-Face back. Bring Ra's al Ghul back. Bring the Scarecrow back. Bring Clayface back. Bring these named characters back instead of Red Lantern Corp Warrior, Orange Lantern Corp Warrior, Green Lantern Corp Warrior, Pink Lantern Corp Warrior. This is just basic name garbage that you don't need. These characters feel like the characters that you'd be able to play as if you activated the extra toggle on the when you collect a red brick. Sometimes you get extra toggle. An extra toggle thing, you turn it on and you can play as goons and NPCs and things that are not playable characters. So all those Green Lantern Corp Warriors that have no names other than Red Lantern Corp Warrior or whatever, they feel like extra toggle characters. The goons feel like extra toggle characters. And you don't need those in your main roster. You can remove them and put more interesting named characters like Darkseid. Darkseid is in here, and he's got his own main story mission in a DLC. So if you want to play as Darkseid, who's got a unique Omega Beam and all that stuff, you're going to have to fork over some cash for the Bizarro DLC. His Darkseid's in the Bizarro DLC. There's the Batman Beyond DLC. There's the Suicide Squad DLC. There's the Arrowverse DLC. The Nolanverse DLC. What other DLCs are there? The Man of Steel DLC. General Zod isn't in the base game, but you can get Zod with the Man of Steel DLC. There's probably more that I'm missing. There's probably, like, there's way too many DLCs, man. And I suppose I could at least give the game credit that if you don't have those corresponding DLCs, there's not a whole line of empty slots that are just mocking you like Dead or Alive 5 does. So at least if you don't have the DLC, then the data of the DLC isn't in the game to mock you. So that, I could at least give it that. But it still bothers me that you have what could essentially be the epilogue to this game as a DLC. The game doesn't feel complete without those DLCs, so you have to fork over extra cash. You can't just buy the game anymore. You have to buy the DLC too. As you could clearly see from my previous rants about DLC, I am not a big fan of it. I'm not a big fan of DLC. I honestly think that you should have a game that was 100% complete upon launch. The DLC is extra. Don't have your epilogue as a DLC. Don't have your true ending as a DLC. Don't do that crap. And if you're gonna do it, make it free. Like Mass Effect 3, the extended cut, it's free. So that's that's my rant about DLCs. It's probably not going to be the last one. But aside from the DLC rants, Batman 3 is a very, very, very delightful game. Even with its faults, it's still a delightful game. Do I wish that Gotham City or Metropolis somehow returned in this game so that you could explore those worlds on top of everything else? Sure, but that's just wanting more out of this game because I really enjoyed it. And that I wanted to take my time because I knew once I completed it, there's nothing left to do, and I wanted to do more. I wanted to go to more worlds. I wanted more characters to collect. I wanted to play more, but once you 100% it, there's nothing to do except to do it again. So there you go. This game is a very fun game. It's a very satisfying game, and it only becomes dissatisfying when you realize that a bunch of characters are copy-paste, a bunch of characters feel like extra toggle characters, there's a bunch of DLC characters, probably about 100 DLC characters. Now, I will give it one merit. 2 DLC character packs are free. One is the Rainbow Batman DLC character pack, which is free. It comes with 2 characters, Rainbow Batman and Rainbow Raider. So, a hero and a villain, essentially. It's free, so download it. And then there's the Heroines character pack, which comes with a bunch of female heroes and villains. And I think there's about 10 to 12 characters in that pack, and it's free. You can get Starfire, Raven, Terra, Power Girl, Vixen, the Killer Frost. Running out of remembering names here. Batwoman, she's in there. The Spoiler, that's it, that's her name. The Spoiler. Who else? Plastique, she's in here. There's a bunch of them, and they're very useful characters. They have very useful movesets. Power Girl is essentially a Superman rip-off character. She has everything that Superman could do, Power Girl could do. The only thing that Power Girl can't do is fly around with the Superman theme playing. Superman and all of the super variants, Supergirl and Superboy, and Superdog. No, not Superdog. Just Superboy and Supergirl. When you fly around as those 2 characters, the Superman theme will play. When you fly around as Superman, the Superman theme will play. When you fly around as Power Girl, the Superman theme does not play. So why use her, you know? Blah. But then there's Terra from Teen Titans. Terra. She's in here, and she is amazing. She has so many cool, unique abilities. She can dig using her earth powers. She can fly around riding on a boulder flying through the air. That's pretty cool. She can punch people with boulder gloves. She can fire rocks at people. She can fire a rock beam at people. Man, she is awesome. Raven and Starfire are both awesome characters. The Spoiler, she's awesome. She's basically like Batman if Batman had a bunch of suits in his base form as abilities. So that's cool. Batwoman is basically what I would have wanted Batgirl to be. Batwoman has super sense and other sorts of abilities in her base form. That's pretty cool. What else? Batwoman can deflect and hide using her cape. You can press the circle button. She can hide with holding her cape in front of her, and nobody can see her. She can walk past the little cameras, security cameras. That's pretty cool. Killer Frost can freeze things just like Mr. Freeze can. There's a lot of movie callbacks too, man. You may like this, you may hate this, but Mr. Freeze in this game is the Batman and Robin Mr. Freeze that was played by Arnold Schwarzenegger. Mr. Freeze in this game is a bunch of Batman and Robin ice puns. Chill out! All those other stuff, man. If you hated that character, I'm sorry that he's in here. That's him. But that was fun to see. What else? Plastique is awesome. Plastique can just fire bombs and blow up silver objects. The only other characters that can blow up silver objects are people like Batman and Cyborg and I think Lex Luthor, but you have to swap to the suit that can destroy it, the power suit. Plastique can just destroy it as is, and I think Arrow can also destroy it. Arrow is in the base game, not the Arrowverse Arrow, but just Arrow. The Green Arrow can throw his explosive arrows at silver bricks and blow them up, so that's cool. Anybody with heat beam can blow up gold bricks. Raven and Starfire have heat beams. They're beams. They're considered heat beams. They're classified as that, so they can blow up gold bricks just like Superman. Power Girl can blow them up. It's very good. This the Heroines pack is very, very good, and it's free. So grab it. Grab it. It's good. You got a huge list of like 12 characters right away automatically unlocked. So that's great. I would have wished the other character packs were free, man. I would have wished that. You could have had all those characters for free. Just throw them in there. It's just good. Do it. It's fun. Anyways, that's Batman 3. That's my breakdown. I'm not going to do a whole roster breakdown. There's way too many characters. We'll be here for hours. There's a bunch of big figures. Just pick one that you like. My favorite is Frankenstein. Yes, the Frankenstein creature. You can play as Frankenstein. He comes with a giant-ass sword, and a giant-ass gun, and he's freaking awesome, man. So he's a giant dude, and he's awesome with his moveset. Etrigan from the Constantine stories, he's in this, but he's kind of disappointing. Satana's in this, from Constantine series, and she's cool to use. She's probably one of the last characters you can unlock, but she's really cool to use. I liked using her. Constantine sadly is not in here. You would have thought if Etrigan's gonna be in here, Constantine should be in here, but no, he's not in here. I think he shows up in Lego DC Supervillains. That's it. Constantine, I believe, is DLC and Supervillains, which is a problem. That's a future rant. That's a future rant for another time. It's another rant. There's plenty of characters in here. You're gonna find a bunch of people you're gonna love to use. One of my favorite characters to use was Superman, clearly, because I can't get enough of that Superman theme. And I can't get enough of the 1960s Batman theme, which sadly does not play when you pick Lego 1960. When you pick 1960s Batman or Adam West, the Batman theme does not play when you're playing as those characters. But the Superman theme plays when you play as Superman, so that's really cool. That's why I loved using Superman. That theme is one of the greatest musical compositions in the history of compositions for film. It's up there with Lawrence of Arabia, The Mummy, Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's up there, man. It is one of the greatest musical themes you will ever hear, man. It's awesome. So, I'm on another tangent there. You can clearly tell I've got ADHD and all that stuff, whatever. But this is a very fun game. It's very satisfying. I recommend you play it right now. Despite all of the cons and all of the rants that I've been talking about, it doesn't matter. It's still a fun game by itself. So, I will give it that. Is it better than Lego Batman 2, though? Just barely. It's just barely better than Lego Batman 2. There's a lot of improvements, a lot of quality of life improvements, particularly with the costume picks, the Batman suit wheel, and all this stuff. For that alone, it's better than Batman 2, man. So, give this a play. Give this a look. It's really good. It's really good. And the story's actually really fun as well. They actually put a lot of effort into it. It's basically its own movie. So it's highly imaginative.